the vanished city of Madol. Welcome to NDJWonders, a channel under NDJ Productions. Today, we're exploring a city that should not exist, built on a remote stretch of ocean where no ancient empire was supposed to rise. Madol, a real archaeological wonder resting on the shores of Pompeii in Micronesia, a place often called the Venice of the Pacific. Its origins are tangled in legend, geology, and unanswered questions, and its strange design has puzzled researchers for more than 1,000 years. To understand this better, imagine more than 90 artificial islands connected by canals, all constructed from massive basalt stones. Some stones weigh as much as a small truck. Others stretch longer than a full-grown man. The people who built Madol did not have metal tools. They had no wheels. They had no beasts of burden. Yet they moved and stacked these stones with precision, forming temples, tombs, and ceremonial platforms that still stand today. But there's more. According to Pompeian legend, the site was founded by two brothers who arrived from a distant land. They were said to possess unusual powers, and used them to raise stones that ordinary men could not lift. These stories are not taken literally by modern scientists, but they capture a truth about the city. It was so unusual, so ambitious, that even the people who inherited it turned to myth to explain its origins. However, the real surprise comes next. Researchers discovered that the basalt columns used in construction came from quarries miles away. Transporting them required coordination and engineering far beyond what was expected of societies in the region. Some stones may have been floated on rafts across rough waters. Others might have been rolled on beds of palm trunks. Yet no theory fully explains how the largest pieces were moved, especially across open ocean. What happens afterward is even stranger. Archaeologists believe Madol was the ceremonial and political center of the Sadler dynasty, the first known rulers of Pompeii. These rulers demanded tribute from the island esclans and centralized power in a way rarely seen in Pacific Island cultures. Over time, their rule grew oppressive. According to oral histories, storms, famine, and conflict followed. The dynasty eventually collapsed, leaving the city abandoned centuries before European explorers arrived. To understand this better, scientists examined the layout. The city was not built randomly. Its canals run in patterns aligned with tides and natural water flow. Some structures appear designed for ritual purposes, others for living quarters, storage, or burial. The most imposing structure, Nundawas, is a fortress-like tomb with basalt walls towering above the lagoon. Even in ruins it radiates authority. But there's more. Beneath the water surrounding the city, divers have found hints of even older construction. Some stones appear to lie at depths, suggesting earlier phases of building. Sea level changes might have buried older sections of the city long before the Sadler dynasty rose to power. This raises an uncomfortable possibility. Madol may have been built on top of an even earlier structure, one whose creators remain unknown. What happens when we examine the landscape around the city is equally compelling. Pompeii sits atop volcanic foundations, and the basalt columns used in construction form naturally in hexagonal shapes when lava cools. The builders recognized this and used the columns like giant logs. Yet transforming geological formations into architectural blocks required skill, planning, and generations of accumulated knowledge. It hints at a sophisticated society with a deep understanding of its environment. However, the city's abandonment adds a haunting layer. Once the Sadler dynasty fell, the site seemed to lose its purpose. Locals avoided it, calling it haunted or cursed. Nature reclaimed the canals. Mangroves crept through the ruins. The islands sank back into silence. Madol became a memory of power, ritual, and collapse. A reminder that even the most ambitious societies can vanish into the landscape they once ruled. To understand why its mystery endures, researchers compare Madol with other megalithic sites. Stonehenge, Easter Island. The pyramids each reveal something about human determination. Madol fits into this pattern, yet stands apart because of its location and materials. It is a city built on water, using stones that seem too massive for its resources, shaped by a culture whose story is preserved mostly in fragments and legend. But there's more. Modern studies using drones and sonar mapping show patterns in the island's distribution that suggest astronomical or ceremonial alignment. Some structures may have marked seasonal cycles. Others may have been reserved for priestly orders or sacred rituals. The more we map, the more intentional the city appears. Chaos transforms into geometry. Ruins become a blueprint for a world that once thrived. What happens when we consider the legacy of Madol is even more striking. It represents the rise of a centralized state in a region where most societies remained decentralized. It shows creativity in a place where resources were scarce. It shows ambition in a world defined by sea and isolation. And it reminds us that the past still holds wonders waiting to be understood. Madol continues to challenge researchers because it rests at the edge of what we think ancient societies could achieve. It asks us to rethink our assumptions. It asks us to look deeper, to imagine the human hands shaping basalt columns, building islands, carving a ceremonial capital from the sea. It stands as a testament to ingenuity, mystery, and the fragile rise and fall of civilizations. If you enjoyed this video, visit the links below for more content from NDJ Productions and NDJ Wonders.